Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my August wrap up. And so what I'm going to be using this sort of monthly format for is to talk about the books I've read and the films I've watched for the previous month. And mainly because I'm in more of a film mood than reading, I have only read 2 books this month and I've watched about 30 plus films, so let's get into it. I'm probably not going to talk about all the films I've watched. I'll just give you a highlight of some of the films that I thought have been really quite amazing. So in terms of books, I didn't actually really do much reading this month. The 2 books that I finished were both audiobooks, and that was Terry Pratchett's The Colour of Magic and I can't remember what it's called, so I'm just looking at my phone. The Alchemist by Paul Coelho. I'm really bad at pronouncing names. I really should look them up before I start doing a video. This is going to be quite controversial. I think both books are utterly forgettable. And yes, I did enjoy The Colour of Magic. I thought it was an enjoyable listen. It was witty, it was fun. But after it finished, I can't really remember much of what happened. Like, yeah, it was a quest and there was a wizard called Rincewind and a trunk with legs and stuff happens. But, I don't know, the plot just isn't that great. I think, really, with this book, the wit stands out, but apart from that, there's not really much there. I don't know whether I'm going to just literally piss off Terry Pratchett fans by saying that, but yeah, I just didn't really feel like it was amazing. Like, it was just okay. And then don't really get me started on The Alchemist. I was bored, quite frankly, by it. Yeah, I can understand it. It's a sort of self-help book masquerading as a novel, but it was just a bit cringy, I think. A bit cringy. And I must admit, like, the narration was quite good because it was Jeremy Irons on the audiobook that I listened to, but yeah, it was a struggle to get through, even though it's like 4 hours, so yeah, that's what I think. Shall we move on to the movies, because there's a billion that I watched. Right, so basically this month was the month of just binge watching movies, and quite specifically German films. So I've suddenly become, it's not sudden, like a couple of years ago when I watched Dark, the amazing Netflix show, I started learning German because I was like, oh my god, this language is like music to my ears. But it was really hard. Like, there's a billion different versions of the word the, and the word for girl, which is one of the first words you learn on Duolingo, is like Mädchen, and that just messes me up. I can't say it properly. So I stopped learning it, and then I watched a movie and I was like, oh man, I really want to learn German again. So I've started watching loads of German films because when you learn a language, you need to immerse yourself, and I'm stuck in England. So one of the easiest ways to sort of hear the language you want to learn is just watch movies or TV shows. So German movies I've watched, and quite specifically there was a retrospective of Christian Petzold's work on Mubi recently. So I've literally binge watched all of the films of his that are available to watch. So that would be Transit Süden, which is a short film, which is literally just like books flapping in the wind, but it's so aesthetically pleasing. Ostwärts, which was a short film, but it was more non-fiction, where he interviews a few people in what was formerly East Germany just after the wall came down, if I'm correct. That was quite interesting. The Warm Money, The State I Am In, Ondina, I've watched that twice now and I still love it so much. Yella, Jericho, Barbara, amazing. Like, Nina Hoss is perfection in that film. What other ones? Phoenix. Yeah, so they're the Christian Petzold films I've watched. I am obsessed with his films now. And I'm also, like, I know I've mentioned that I'm going to do a Kubrick challenge where I read all the books that inspired Kubrick films. I'm also going to do the same for Christian Petzold because he's actually, like, such a massive bibliophile, and when you watch his movies you just notice books, and then also quite a lot of his films are inspired or based on novels as well. What other films have I watched this month that I really enjoyed. Oh yes, also Rainer Werner Fassbinder. Never watched any of his movies before, but I watched Ali Fear Eats the Soul and Chinese Puzzle. Amazing. Literally, how have I not watched any of his films sooner? Like, I've heard about him for so many years because he's like one of the greatest filmmakers of the 20th century. And I've always been like, oh, I need to get around to watching that. But then I found that quite a lot of his movies are on BFI Player at the moment. And I stuck Anxiety? No, it's because it's Angst. What is it in German? Theory, so yeah, Angst, Essen, Seele auf. And oh, what a beautiful film. Tragic, sad, but beautiful. Like the way it's shot. Chef's kiss. It's about an Arab It's about an Arab immigrant who moves to Germany for work, and he's at a bar one night, and this sort of older woman comes into the bar, and she sits at a table, orders a Coke, and then his friends dare him to ask her to dance, and he does, and there's something there between them. Then he walks her home, and something between them blossoms, and they start seeing each other romantically. And the film follows their sort of almost forbidden love affair, because she's an older woman and he is a Arab immigrant, and their union is frowned upon by those around them. And it's kind of sickening that this was filmed, I think, in the 70s. Let me just double check. Yeah, so it was released in 1974. And what kind of sickens me is you can see these prejudices that these people have still play out today. And that is the power of a film like this, that it exposes it. It makes you feel like, literally, you feel like you want to vomit while you're watching it, because it's just unfair. Like, people should just be allowed to love each other. There shouldn't be terms and conditions. And I think Fassbinder captured that beautifully, and there's so much gorgeous cinematography. Like, there's the way he films scenes as well. Like, there's a lot of door frames that make the frame smaller. Like, it feels claustrophobic. There's also this scene where they're outside among like empty picnic tables, and then they're just there right in the middle, and there's just this expanse of space around them, and it just shows their isolation. I just think that's brilliant. Like, the symbolism is on point. And then the other Fassbinder film that I watched was Chinese Puzzle. And the main reason why I wanted to watch this one next is because I realised that it had Anna Karina in it, who is a Danish actress most famous for her French New Wave films with Jean-Luc Godard. And I think she's brilliant. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is the film that she did in German. So then I had to watch it, and amazing. Like, oh, but just really, it's a tough one. Like, I don't know what it is about Fassbinder's films, but clearly he sort of zooms in on society and looks at bad people, or people suffering from the effects of bad people. And so in Chinese Puzzle, it's about a husband and wife who lie to each other that they're going on business trips or they're going away. So one's going to Oslo and one's going to Milan, I believe. But the truth is they're both hooking up with other people. And ironically, they both end up going to their country house that they share, thinking that the other's not going to be there. And the mastermind behind all of this is their young daughter, who has something wrong with her leg and is seen as a burden to the parents. But basically, weird stuff happens. Everyone expresses their feelings but don't express them. And they play this game towards the end of the film, and it's just like, literally, tension has been bubbling all throughout it, and then it just all sort of explodes at the end. But it's really good. Again, cinematography is amazing. Like, this property that they're in, the way it shoots some of the characters. Like, there's this sort of housekeeper woman who actually played the older woman in Fassbinder's Fear Eats the Soul, which I love it when filmmakers have like long-standing collaborations with actors. Like, I just think it's really interesting. But yeah, so this woman plays the housekeeper. I've forgotten her name. I'll maybe put it on the screen. Yeah, so this housekeeper sort of lurks around the house, and quite often you'll see her like at a window, or you'll see her reflection, or sometimes like door frames sort of cut her face in half, so it just shows her sneaking around, almost perhaps meddling. And you've also got a lot of like glass units that hold things, like there's a drinks cabinet in the middle of a room and it's glass, and then quite often characters hide behind it but you can still see through it. And it's just this idea about people hiding themselves but also exposing themselves at the same time, and that people put masks on to sort of navigate society, but then the mask comes off, things are revealed, and it's just it's crazy. Like, there's just this symbolism in it that, I don't know, is amazing. But yeah, that's me literally talking so long about Fassbinder's films. What are the ones we've watched? Proxima with Ava Green, brilliant movie. That was directed by Anna Winokur, and it's about a female astronaut who has to struggle with the duality of being a mother and her own ambitions of going into space. And I thought it was brilliantly done. What else have we seen? Oh yeah, I rewatched The Hunt, Jagten by Thomas Vinterberg. Amazing film. I made my sister watch it and she was like all the way through it. Oh my god, no. So it's really good. A Hidden Life by Terrence Malick. I've been wanting to see that movie for ages. And it's 3 hours of beautiful imagery and complete agony. It tells the story of Franz Jagersdatter, an Austrian farmer who opposed fighting for the Nazis, and it just shows his life story and how horrible it must have been to be forced into something you don't want to do that really does compromise your moral standing, but then face the backlash of everyone all around you. Like, his fellow villagers turn against him and his family because, is he just being selfish? Is he putting them in danger as well and putting a spotlight on this village and making it hard for them? And like, how far do you go? How far should your stubbornness take you? And ultimately, it's a tragic movie, so he does take it literally to the end, and I think that is really shocking, beautiful and sad, and it is well worth your time. Like, I know Terrence Malick movies aren't for everyone, but this really was beautiful. The Night House with Rebecca Hall, I thought that was a really good movie as well, and not your sort of typical horror film, and really it was kind of just about grief and mental illness. But then if the sort of supernatural element was real, then it's really quite freaky as well. But I don't really want to sort of reveal the plot, but I think it was really well done. The jump scares in it literally made me jump in the cinema. And oh man, like, it's nice to be back in the cinema. And especially to, I don't know, like, to watch movies that make people react. Like, I remember going to see Endgame at the cinema, and the cinema was packed full of people, and it was like the first night that it was out in the UK, and like everyone was just, I don't know, like so excited, and like there were moments where people started cheering and things like that. So there's something nice about the communal experience of watching movies. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there as the highlights of my movies. So thank you for watching this video. A bit random, don't quite know what I'm doing, like I just sat down and started rambling about movies. Oh well. If you like this video, then please give me a like and subscribe, and I guess I will see you soon. Bye bye.